I know, right? What's going on with what we're doing? Yeah. So again, this is not opposition. We're talking a little bit about California. There's a lot of stuff happening in California. We're from California. We live in California. I think the computer just crashed.
Did we lose our feed?
Nope, it still seems to be going. So
okay.
We're good.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotcha. So I'm born and raised in California.
I'm born and raised in Bakersfield, California.
That's right, Bakersfield, California. Literally, my dad passed away in 2005, but my mom still lives in the same house that I grew up in on East Bakersfield by Oswell and Virginia. So it's in the hood.
It is in the hood.
I grew up in the hood. My mom still lives in the hood, and so we go over there and we visit. And the only white lady lives on the whole street, I think, but. But yeah, so California is home, and I've seen a lot happen here in California. I don't like when my freedoms are encroached upon. And there's a lot of that happens in California with things that a lot of things.
It's like a constant state of life in California, man.
Yeah, and I get really, and it's just a bunch of things. It's from the mundane of, I just want to get a regular straw at the restaurant, or, you know what I mean? Like poor Sonic. I love the Sonic styrofoam cups, but maybe that's not going to be able to be a thing anymore.
Not living in fear of your house burning down.
Yeah, I'm saying little things from that to, growing up in a house where I loved classic cars. We had classic cars and we had guns, and those are evil things in the eyes of
the progressive leftists.
The progressive leftists of California, and they're just trying to shut all of that down, and just those simple things all the way to the bigger things, like you were saying, like how can we,
knowing that we have water in our fire hydrant, knowing that our firefighters and first responders are properly supported.
Like what's the priority? What is your priority? And my wife was
I think the priority for them was DEI, woke policies, getting as many homeless on the streets as we can.
Yeah, the homeless thing. Oh my gosh. But like with this whole the fire thing and the closing down dams in California for a fish,
That's not
flushing-
even native to the area.
Well, that's a different fish. That's a whole nother one. That's letting water flow out into the ocean for a non-native fish. And they're talking about the other one. They closed. They tore down 4 dams in Northern California so that the salmon could finally once again traverse through the entire length of the river that it used to be before civilization was here. Like, and I was actually telling my wife about that. She's like, but that doesn't make sense. Why do they do that? And I said, well, it makes sense if you understand their perspective, and their perspective is those things, nature, environment, all that kind of stuff is more important than people in their perspective. So in their perspective, it makes sense to tear down those dams. It makes sense to not have any nuclear power. It makes sense to, withhold, let the water flow out here. We don't need to store it for us, because in their eyes,
starting from a broken premise.
They're starting from a broken premise in that, the human beings that live in California are not as important as the environment of California.
What does the Bible say about that?
Well, I mean, the Bible literally says that God gave us dominion over the land.
Exactly.
And dominion over the animals and dominion over the land. And God's
the other way around. The animals and land wasn't given dominion over man.
No, God's priority is human beings.
And does it say that God gave Gavin Newsom dominion over his loyal
No,
subjects,
but unfortunately, at least at one time, most of California said that Gavin can have Governor Gavin Newsom.
Are you sure about that?
But that's changing, isn't it? Tell me a little bit about that, Mike, because you're doing something just this year in California. What have you
okay, so let me tell you about this. I received overwhelming response from this. So and maybe you can help me articulate this, Scott. But prior to going to AmFest, which was America Fest 2024 over in Phoenix, Arizona, with Turning Point California, Charlie Kirk's organization, great organization. We love those guys.
Turning Point USA.
Yep, great. What did I say?
You said California.
Turning Point USA, great organization, great partner company that we do a lot of work with. I went over there, but prior to going over there was shortly after the election. And did I show you the video of my daughter, by the way, crying after Trump won?
No.
So yeah, I'll show it to you. But
how old is she?
She's 9.
Okay.
Right. She's seen Trump speak more times than most adults. Like 4 times she's gotten to see Trump speak.
Wow. Actually, you mean live?
Yeah.
Wow.
Live.
I have never.
Well,
he never comes to California.
You could come with us, brother. You had a ticket.
He never comes to California. So,
but well, he will be. Anyway, my daughter was over there. We knocked doors. We helped to get out the vote effort. We sent text messages, made phone calls. My 3 kids were with me, and I'm going to be doing some speaking on this as well about leadership and leading and training your children the way they should go.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose our stream?
No, we should.
Okay. So I took them over, and she came hollering down the hallway. I went to the restroom because after we won Pennsylvania, I was like, it's a done deal, right? She came running down the hallway. She said, Daddy, we won Wisconsin. We did it. We won. And she was so ecstatic, elated. She was bawling, right? And I got it on video.
Wow.
And it made me tear up too.
Yeah.
And we were watching the live stream with Charlie, and Charlie teared up as well. He was practically like a blubbering mess, because frankly, I will say that he may have been the number one most significant factor in this election, which is one of the reasons that I'm proud to be working with those guys. Yeah. Not for them. People ask me that all the time because we have such a relationship, but not for them, but working in collaboration, partnership. So shortly after the election, we saw the map of California. Many of you guys have seen it. Like mostly red. I would say like 80%, right? Other than like LA, the Bay Area, and central, the coastal area. And I said, I think this state can be flipped. And I started believing that, and I started saying that, and then I started talking to other people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we think that too." But what I noticed was everybody said, "Yeah, somebody should do that. Somebody should lead that effort. We want to support that." But nobody that I was talking to said, yeah, this is who's doing it, or
Yeah.
we're doing that, or whatever. And I'm connected with all of those organizations. And I said, God, why is nobody leading that? And then the more I was talking to them, they're like, you should do it. I'm like, me? And then I started praying about it. And I was like, am I supposed to do this? God, like that's too big for me. Like,
wow.
That's too big. And so I kind of had this argument or debate with God, and then like finally like had enough like prayer time and enough people talking. And I was like, I think I'm supposed to take this. So, and I was like, kind of like, I was like, is it me? And finally, right before AmFest, I threw my hat over the fence. I put up a poster at AmFest, prominent poster, and people flocked to our booth and they said, we want to support you. How can we support? How can we get involved? How can we volunteer? How can we, give to the cause or whatever?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just started this. I know it's going to take a lot of work, but it was like we built a pretty good list of people that I've been meeting with since then. And I've been working up and down the state. We're going to be building coalitions. We're building a volunteer army. We have a goal to build a minimum.
Can you just so people don't get all weird about it, can you kind of define the word army so that people don't get
feet on the street to help with this effort? Right.
Not armed people who are going out to not like an army. Okay. That's why I wanted to clarify in case anybody's, because, sometimes,
people misinterpret things
on purpose.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I just wanted to clarify that. So it's on the record.
Building a volunteer base to get out and get registered voters, get out the vote, back legislation, back conservative candidates. We're meeting with, a conservative candidate that's going to be running for and pretty much guaranteed shoe-in for state assembly for our district tomorrow morning. We're going to be, but people are telling me up and down the state, we want you to start vetting people. We want you to start talking to these people, I'm like, all right. Like, and God keeps opening doors. So like, now I'm like getting to the point where like I'm speaking like multiple times every week on the radio, and like it's not me, and I want to be humble about it, because like recognizing like I don't feel worthy of this calling that God's called me to, but it's simultaneously I know that I'm not worthy, right? But no, that's good. But I also know that as a child of the King, I am, right? So it's like a dichotomy, right? Yeah, exactly. So you're feeling this, you're seeing this, you're going on. Part of our discussion that I had, that Marshall and I had last week, was talking a little bit about this, of because he was mentioning, the Republicans and Democrats and the establishment Republicans and them being in charge, and I called into question. I'm like, is it really the establishment Republicans who are being in charge now, or is there a shift in the Republican Party that's going away from the old established Republican Party of because I feel like most of what we're seeing here are people who are like, let's stop government waste, let's stop things going as usual, it feels like the reason people in 2016 I feel voted for Donald Trump was because they wanted an outsider, because we're just tired of business as usual, politics as usual. And he had a difficult time even getting the nomination for the Republican Party, and a lot of resistance there, but a lot of people want him because he was an outsider. And I feel that most of these new young Republican people who are these representatives who are winning, governorships and state senates and U.S. Congress positions, are people that are coming up from this, I would say, new Republican, not old establishment, but actual people who are like, no, we actually want to reduce government. We actually want 100%. It feels like it's 100%. And I've met with several of the congressmen, the assembly members. I was just a week ago yesterday, I was in Sacramento, met with several people up there, and that's 100% what it is. Like there is like this new crop of conservatives that is really kind of like the conservative party is kind of like emerging, or has already emerged, as kind of like the new cool place to be. Like, whereas like when you were in high school, like when I was in high school, like it wasn't so much because we were in that kind of Christian bubble.
Yeah.
But we saw around us, like it was kind of like cool to be a Democrat.
Well,
like,
I mean,
that's shifted.
Well, when we were in high school, the presidential candidate at the time, the Democratic presidential candidate at the time, Bill Clinton, was on SNL playing a saxophone.
Right.
I mean,
right.
that was a win for him.
Right.
Big time.
So very much. And, there's a massive groundswell of grassroots movement, people that are true, like care about their country, care about their family, are done paying $10 for an egg, right? Are done paying $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon for gasoline, are done watching their houses burn with no insurance, with no water in the fire hydrants, with no support for the fire departments. With not being able to get insurance.
I mean, it's just I remember the quote. I remember reading the quote, like, and seeing the video of the Los Angeles County fire chief, or was it city? What the lady saying, my number one priority is diversity, inclusivity,
diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah. It's like, shouldn't your number one priority be to put out fires? I mean, obviously,
should be, but it clearly wasn't.
Obviously, she was saying that before the fires happened, but
right.
Still, who cares?
But I also know, as a Christian, God-fearing, God-loving man, that we're not going to win this by being, and this is where I think you and I will agree tremendously. Yeah. We're not going to necessarily win just by, in which we are going to be doing, registering voters, getting out the vote, but also through education, but also through loving people.
And,
right?
And see, this is the thing. When I first heard about the fires, so our church has been doing 21 days of prayer. We started last Monday, and so Monday hits, and then Tuesday, Wednesday we come in, and it's just like, the fires happened overnight. It was just in one day, so much devastation in one day, and I was like, we're gonna pray about this today, right? Because we're gonna do a corporate prayer. And they said, would you like to do the prayer? And I said, I would, because my biggest thing was, this is the time right now. This is how the church should be showing the world how Jesus loves them. Like this is like every church and I'm not sure the churches outside the LA area. I mean, it's good to help and send things in, but I think if too much coming from the outside going in, you end up kind of getting in the way. I think sometimes, like, it's great, but now you're clogging up I feel like the church is there. It's an opportunity for the churches in Los Angeles to say, our homes are open. Our church is open. Here's a place to stay. Here's a place. Here's we'll get you food. Like this is like, it doesn't matter who was hurt. It doesn't matter who was damaged. It doesn't matter if they're conservative, liberal, rich, poor. They lost everything in a day, in an instant, in a moment. They lost everything. And this is where the church, if the church isn't coming in for this to support people, then what on earth is the church here for?
Yeah. Well, you're not going to win people over by telling them how wrong they are. There may be an education, or there definitely is an education component. That aside,
that comes second.
You're going to win over hearts and minds by loving people, right? And so that's why we have a 501c3, right? Yeah. To do that work, we have a 501c4 to do the political work also. Right. So we'll make a difference by loving people, but then also by educating people. And, I've gone down already on Friday. I was down in LA. I know that the same pastor that I went down with on Friday was down there again yesterday. And the place over there, and I don't think you've been.
Which one did you get to? Which area did you go to? Egan or
Pasadena? Pasadena.
Okay.
Altadena. It's like a sneaking war zone, dude.
Yeah. I haven't been over there. Again, I'm like, if I don't need to go down there, I don't want to be just another person going down there. You went down there for a purpose, and I understand going down there for a purpose, and I wasn't trying to talk against that. I just think that like let's try to coordinate our efforts so that like we're combining efforts and going instead of if a bunch of people just keep going down there, then it almost becomes like a tourist attraction. Like, oh, come go see the fires and the destruction. And if there's not a purpose to it, I'm not going to go down there unless I need to.
Right. Well, we're connected with churches down there also, and bringing supplies for the churches. We took 3 trailer loads on Friday. I know they took even much more than that yesterday. But no, the need is great. And I definitely believe that Bakersfield is going to be impacted very soon from that, and not necessarily directly from the fires, but by people migrating, because people lost, $1 million homes, multi-million-dollar homes.
Yeah.
Like you can't replace that without insurance.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to have to move to somewhere cheaper.
Yep.
So we're going to see a big increase in population here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my daughter likes interior design. So one of her favorite things to do is to go visit model homes to look at them. Mm-hmm. And I go, hey, we were driving through Belcourt on our way home, the Seven Oaks Belcourt, and it said new model homes. Like, hey, we haven't seen those. Let's go over and look at those right here. Buena Vista and White Lane. Mm-hmm. $900,000 for a house. $1.1 million for a house.
But you know how much those are in LA?
Oh my gosh.
Probably 2 or 3 times that.
Yeah. I'm just like $1 million homes.
But also the influx of population, because there's not enough supply to meet the demand, right?
Yeah.
The influx of population has caused our prices here to increase, right?
Man.
So those homes have gone up. I'm not the real estate expert. That's my good friend Kyle Lawson, who's been on my show multiple times.
Yeah.
But we know that the cost of living has gone up and the supply is very low. Here. But anyway, going back to the overall state of California and the overall kind of state of the economy and kind of sentiment in the state, people are ready for a change. People are done with Gavin Newsom and his used car salesman, slick back hair, fake woke policies. They don't exactly know what that means, but they're done paying $10 for an egg. They're done not being able to put groceries on the table. Mm-hmm. Those are the things people care about. They care about crime. They care about the cost of living. When you affect people in the pocketbook, it shows up in the ballot box. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Yeah. So it's you're saying you have a new hope for California.
Oh, I do, and it's a renewed hope. And I wondered because I wanted to leave, right?
Yeah, and see, so my mom lives here. My wife's parents live here. Families here, stuff like that. There's been a few times where I'm just like, I just don't want to deal with these laws anymore. I don't want to deal with all of this. It just seems crazy to me, and I don't want to deal with it. But at the same time, I mean, my wife is like, but family's here, and she loves California, and there is no better state.
No,
in the union,
frankly, there isn't.
California.
No, I mean, aside from our political environment, cost of living, and
there's places, there's places you can kind of fuddle with the cost of living and find a place to be here, but still not like other places. But I mean, and particularly, it sounds kind of weird. I particularly like Bakersfield. I don't necessarily want to live in the hustle and bustle of Los Angeles, but I love going there to visit.
But for the past 10, 20 years, people have essentially had 3 choices, right? Either do nothing, which often is accompanied by sitting around and complaining.
I have felt helpless and hopeless.
Right. Leave or fight back. And very few people have been willing to fight back. And the ones that have mostly are just kind of like a different version of the first one and just complaining more than anything. Right.
Yeah.
And so like when I felt like God passed me that torch and was like, you're leading the way, I was like, it was almost like that, me, God, like, why me? Mm-hmm. Right. All I know is he said, do it. And I'm going
to arm you with this. If anybody says anything to you, like, you, Mike, like if anybody says that to you, or if anybody says like looks at you and just says like, you're not doing that right. You're not doing it the right way. You're not going about the right way. It's the answer that I love. It's like, well, I like the way I'm doing it better than the way you're not doing it.
Exactly.
And to see you step up and do something, you know what? If you're going to complain about the way he's doing it, well, the way he's doing it is better than the way you're not doing it.
Right. And frankly, you know, on that note, Scott, we have lots of room for volunteers.
Yep.
We have lots of room. You want to get involved? You want to help out?
Tell them what's going on.
Yeah. So would love to hear from you guys if you're watching this. If you want to be involved, you like, yeah, someone's finally stepping up and doing it. Like, reach out to Scott on his social, reach out to me on social. You can go to 511media.co/ I believe it's turn CA red, which we'll post a link at the bottom of this when we're done with the episode. We got a new producer in here, and this is his first solo live
Ed,
show.
you're doing a great job.
He's doing a phenomenal job. But in the future, I'm going to show him how to drop those links so we get him out there on the live show.
Yeah.
But guys, you can just comment below this video, and our team will reach out to you. We also got a new engagement and outreach director. So you know, either someone on the team, no matter what, is going to reach out to you guys.
Yeah.
So you know, if you're like, well, I don't have time to volunteer, but you know, would love to support that, you can get a hold of us for that way as well. So you know, however you want to get involved, or you're like, you know what, you need to talk to this person, connections as well. So whatever, if you feel like, you know, this is something you want to be involved in, whatever you have to offer, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and then again, because here on United Opposition, when Marshall and I are usually talking, the whole purpose of this show is to be an example, is him and I to be standing on opposite sides of most issues, but still be able to come together, talk it out, reason, rationalize with each other, see each other's points of view. That he's changed my mind on a few things. I believe I've changed his mind on a few things, but that's the kind of discourse that I feel 100%. We don't have enough. How are you? Do you have a plan, or do you have a thought of how you can incorporate that type of action in what you're doing?
Well, I will tell you this. I was standing in line at the bank the other day.
Okay.
And I saw a person walk up behind me, and you know, I can't remember exactly what it said. It was like Democrats for California or something like that. And I was thinking in my mind, I was like, well, I'm going to be standing in line for like 20 minutes here, so I don't want to like get into it. But I was thinking in my mind, I was thinking, I would like to tell her, first of all, I vehemently disagree with your policies and your stances. However, good on you. I'm proud of you, because even though we don't agree or see eye to eye on probably a lot of issues, you're at least taking action and doing something to stand for something you care about.
Yeah, that's good.
So you know, you know, I talk to our good friend Maddie Mueller up in Fresno all the time. I'm like, you know, like, I think we need to get to a place, and your show is great for this, right? Because this is what they believe very much too. It's like, I don't care which side of an issue you stand on. First of all, speak your mind, but also, like, let's create a place where it's safe to speak your mind, even if you disagree. Yeah,
and see, that's the thing.
That's the premise of this show.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of this show, because you have to be able to talk openly. And that's why it's kind of funny, because Marshall and I talked a little bit about this last week because it had just happened. But the whole Threads, Facebook, Zuck coming out and like, you know, hey, we, you know, coming out, it's kind of funny, right? The just, you know, letting you know that we're no longer going to be censoring you. The company that says we're not censoring you, we haven't been censoring you, we're now officially
not doing it anymore.
We're not doing it anymore. But everybody, and I've seen so many people freaking out about, like, oh, it's going to become a wasteland. It's like, it's open discussion. Like, how do we go? How did America become the place where we don't talk about things openly?
You know why, Scott? Because, and you know this just as well as I do. Now, my parents were not quite this as extreme on this, but you know many people, and I know many people that their entire generation of your parents and my parents was, we don't talk about politics or religion. It's rude to discuss that at the dinner table. It's rude to discuss that in general. And so that is, I believe, is a large contributing factor to why we can't talk about it anymore, because we were told our entire life, my generation,
don't offend people.
Don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. That before my dad found Christ, that was the rule in his house. You don't talk about God. You don't talk about. You probably can't imagine that with Charlie Garcia.
No.
You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about God. Not in my house was where he's at.
That's about the only thing I talk about. But.
Yeah, three or 4 years old when he found Jesus.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you joining me. I know it was a last minute, and you just
thanks
came
for
in.
having me here,
You
brother.
just came in from out of town doing this whole new thing that you're doing for turning California red,
That's right. Yep.
turn CA red. So thank you for joining me here. Marshall and I should be back next week talking about whatever is the next thing that's happening that he and I are in opposition to, but we are united as friends and united in coming together and having this podcast. And that's why it's called United Opposition. Until next week, God bless you guys.
God bless. Have a great day.